And we are live! Yes, from the wastelands of the internet, I have come once again to bring you the news. Now, I've been gone for a while, so there's lots and lots of news. I hate to say this, but real life has intruded. All right, there are a number of things going on in my real life. I'm not going to expound on right now. But it is what it is. You gotta go through it. And that's exactly what I'll do. Make the best of it. Carry on. All right, the old military mantra. Not that I really care to carry on, but it is what it is. So we'll just continue on from that point. All right. But we have news, and we're going to start right off with the Ukraine. Russian official. Ukrainian drones strike Crimea oil depot. A massive fire erupted at an oil depot in Crimea after it was hit by two of Ukraine's drones, a Russia-appointed official there reported Saturday. The latest in a series of attacks on the annexed peninsula as Russia braces for an expected Ukrainian counteroffensive this spring. Mikhail, I'm not even going to try to butcher your name, sir. All right, the Moscow-installed governor of Sevastopol, the port city in Crimea, posted videos and photos of the blaze on his Telegram channel. Mikhail said that the fire at the city's harbor was assigned the highest ranking in terms of how complicated it will be to extinguish. However, he reported that the open blaze had been contained. Okay. That's Russia's story, Ukraine story number one. Russia-Ukraine story number two, if I can try to get rid of this stupid pop-up ad that just happened. All right, and this other one. Let me try and frickin' get this. But number two is the Ukraine planned to strike Moscow with drones, a series of drones. All right, and our CIA found out about it and tried to put a stop to it. And how did they do that? By basically making a threat to Zelensky, right? That you're not going to sit up there and attack Moscow. Now, considering what the Ukrainians are going through, is it really... Did you throw in the story I gave you? Yes, I did. Sure, Artie. Is it unquestionable that the Ukraine would want to attack Moscow? No. I mean, it's quite understandable why they'd want to attack Moscow. I mean, let's be perfectly frank here. You're being attacked, striking back at your enemies is a normal part of this. However, the real question is how could they? There's a difference between a drone that can fly 20 or 30 miles and one that can fly hundreds and hundreds of miles to initiate an attack. The Ukraine, while it does have drones, does not have those kind of drones. Not in abundance, all right? Not without major support from the Allies. And that really could trigger World War III. It really could. Because it's a direct attack on all there. You got to understand. I know people don't want to understand this. Okay? I know people don't want to believe this. But this is a civil war between these guys. And things happen. Now, the next story of what happened is a little older. But just to show you, hey, Jensen, if you're listening, Jensen, Russian warplane accidentally bombs its own city, injures 3. A Russian fighter jet accidentally bombed the Russian city of Belgorod near the border with the Ukraine, causing a massive blast that injured 3 people and lifted a car onto the roof of a store. The incident involved a Sukhoi 34 supersonic plane that took place late Thursday, causing an explosion and leaving a huge crater near the center of Belgorod, just 25 miles from the Ukrainian border. Video of the scene shows piles of debris, all right, littering the street, multiple mangled cars, and a building with shattered windows. Footage also showed a car resting upside down on the roof of a supermarket along a major thoroughfare called Prospect Vatuli. Vatuli? Vatu, Vat, Vatutina. How's that? Vatutina. The Belgrade region governor, I'm not going to butcher your name because there's no way I'm going to get that one right. All right, announced the state of emergency overnight and confirmed there was a crater measuring 65 feet across on one of the city's main streets. 3 residents have been injured. Thank God there's no one that's died. All right, you can see the pictures of the attack. All right. Now we don't know anything more about what it was that caused this. Okay. They just say that it was an accident. Okay. Did the pilot get lost? Or was there an emergency where the pilot had to jettison? Whoops, where the pilot had to jettison the munition? It's very possible that the pilot had to jettison the munitions due to a problem on the airframe, all right, and didn't realize what the result was going to be, where it was going to land, all right. But these are things that happen. There's a lot of unintended casualties in these wars. And when I say unintended, I mean where people get killed for absolutely no, reason. And I don't mean that from being targeted. It's just they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it's unfortunate that these things take place. But they do. Over to America. Gunman killed neighbors and child with an AR-15 style rifle, sheriff says. A man using an AR-15 style rifle shot and killed 5 people Friday, including an 8-year-old, an angry response to the neighbor's request that he stop shooting in his yard while their baby was trying to sleep, Texas authorities said on Saturday. The gunman then fled, prompting an ongoing manhunt. Authorities will charge. I mean, they can say that they're charging. They haven't caught the guy yet. Francisco Oropeza, 38, with 5 counts of murder, and were searching for him Saturday morning. All right, San Quinto, I cannot pronounce it. I guess it's Jacinto. All right, County Sheriff Greg Capers told the Washington Post authorities believe that he was about 2 miles from the area and were working to apprehend him. 10 people were in Cleveland, Texas, home during the shooting. 3 women, a man, and an 8-year-old boy were killed. 5 others survived, including 3 other children, thank God. The suspect was the victim's neighbor and went to their home Friday night after they asked him to stop shooting an AR-15 style weapon in his front yard because of the noise. Oropeza frequently shot the gun in his yard, Capers said, and allegedly became angry when the neighbors said that their baby was trying to sleep around 11 p.m. Authorities saw footage of Oropeza walking up to the victim's front door before going inside. The neighbors walked over and said, "Hey man, can you not do that? We have an infant in here trying to sleep," or whatever, Capers said. They went back to their house, and then we have a video of him walking up their driveway with his AR-15. All 5 victims were shot in the head. Law enforcement officers responded to the Cleveland home after a report of harassment around 11:30 on Friday. I think that's not harassment. Okay, I think that you've got a problem when you describe things as harassment and the guy murdered 5 people. It was horrific, Capers said. No one should ever have to look at this kind of a scene. The blood and the trauma that went on in the house, well, it was just harassment. The children were taken to the hospital and were not injured. The other children. Cleveland is about 40 miles northeast of downtown Houston. All of the victims were from Honduras and the suspect from Mexico. Really? What a surprise. The name isn't Obrador if the name isn't Obrador and MCS. Luis Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. AMLO. Yes. The shooter then fled after the killings, but is believed to be about 2 miles away from the home. Was believed to be 2 miles away from the home on Saturday morning. Why? Why wouldn't you believe that he's headed back across the border? I don't think he's anywhere near the 2 miles away. I think he's on his freaking way. I mean, you got to search for him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't search wherever they think this guy is. Okay? But I don't think it's beyond the pale to assume that this guy has headed out the door. That this guy is on his way, all right, to Mexico. Just put it out there. Just put it out there, folks. This he's on the road. He's running. I would expect that. I think this guy is going to end up in Mexico and he's going to hide. All these people keep talking about, oh, no, there's no problem with illegal immigration. All right. So we got a bunch of immigrants killing each other. All right. Now, first of all, we know that there was an argument about the kid, or we assume there was. The question, there are a lot of questions here. A guy doesn't sit up and go, hey, man, my baby's trying to sleep. Could you keep it down? All right. That's not going to trigger somebody to go off generally, to sit up there and go walk up and just murder 5 people. There has to have been something else going on. Comment. All right. I'm just putting it out there. It's unfortunate. This guy obviously had it in. All right. He shot a number of people in the head. All right. Which means he was trying to kill these people. Now, he probably ended up trying to kill the adults, ended up killing one of the children, and that's when he freaked out. I don't really know what happened, right? It's a sad situation when these kind of things take place. Black group tells the Met not to return King's bronzes, slavery profits. He has 5 wives, a $500,000 Rolls Royce, and is trying to get back $30 billion in artworks stolen from his ancestors 135 years ago, including some of the Met Museum's most precious works, the Met being the Metropolitan Museum in New York. Good morning, Ms. Murder. Or afternoon, I should say. Good afternoon, Ms. Murder. Oba Iware II of the Kingdom of Berlin. Right, just hold on just a second here, folks. Sorry about the dead air, folks. My better half was coming to tell me she was going to go out to go shopping and take care of some things, do some stuff. All right. So back to the story. But now Oba is facing an unexpected battle from the African American campaigners in New York who say the bronzes were the proceeds of the royal ancestors selling their ancestors into slavery. The group is moving to sue the Smithsonian to stop plans for the OBA to get even more of its Benin bronzes, and is in talks with the Met to stop it from sending its collection of 154 artifacts to Nigeria. Now, okay, all right, folks. What are we going to do about this? Now you got a group that's actually trying to say, no, you can't return all these artifacts, all right, because they're part of history, all right. Well, why shouldn't you return the artifacts? So I'm serious. If you want to return the artifacts, now, personally, I think the only reason that the artifacts should be returned is if they were stolen. If they were legally purchased, then why are you trying to return them? Why isn't he? If this guy is so doggone rich, and it looks like he is, why isn't he trying to buy them back? Oh, and by the way, that's real funny. This is the true Nigerian prince. Did you get his email? just put it out there. Did you get his email? Now you know what the Nigerian prince needed money for. There are 10,000 scattered in museums and universities across the UK, Europe, and the United States. Just one Benin bronze head was sold in 2021 for nearly $13 million in England, meaning the total collection could be worth $30 billion. The Benin statues were openly stolen from Oba's predecessor, Ovan Ramlin, in 1897 by British colonial troops in a punitive raid in retaliation for the ambush and murder of an unarmed British naval officers and their African porters in the kingdom. Now, they say stolen. Okay, this was a punitive raid against slave trading. Is what I suspect. Is what it sounds like. So, I don't really know if the word stolen is the word. It was a war. It was over a century ago. I think that if they want this material back, they can purchase it back. Telling me it owes me $1 million. On to the next story. Female commander investigated over alleged sexual assaults on male subordinates and a pattern of harassment. From military.com, the top officer of the Army's 5th Security Force Assistant Brigade has been investigated following allegations of multiple sexual assaults and a pattern of sexual harassment, according to two sources with knowledge of the investigation. It is unclear whether the investigation is ongoing, but it comes while another is underway into an alleged allegations of toxic leadership by the brigade's commander, Colonel Megan Sullivan, commander of the 5th Brigade Engineer Battalion, 5th Security Force Assistance Brigade, faces allegations of assaulting at least 2 subordinate men and harassing several others, with some of those incidents allegedly tied to alcohol abuse. I think that there's any kind of investigation that you deal in the military generally will start with tied to alcohol abuse. I think all of them could be placed that way. All right? Now, there are several things that I have questions with, because this is the commander of the 5th Brigade Engineer Battalion, and this woman is a full bird colonel. This is a surprise to me, okay? Because a battalion is generally the size of what is also referred to as a regiment. About three makes up between 3 to 4 companies, depends upon several factors. All right, of what they're doing. Okay, a company normally has about 120 men. All right, assigned to it. So you end up with about 1,000 or so people assigned to a battalion. Generally, a lieutenant colonel is in charge of a battalion. At least that's what it was like when I was in. Now, this is a special security force assistance brigade. This is something completely different. It's not a normal unit. All right, the unit is there to basically be a liaison group with other militaries. Okay, um, it's unfortunate, right? Sexual harassment claims, I think, are serious when they actually happen. Okay, and they do. I'll be the first person to tell you. There are some things that I saw that are serious things that were actually serious. All right, that I would not have believed. Okay, could take place until I saw them when I was in the military. Sexual harassment to me, though, is somebody threatening or quid pro quo. If a guy or a girl invites a guy or a girl to a date, I don't think that's sexual harassment. Now, there could be other things wrong with it. There is something called propriety. There is things like, okay, the how do I say this? What's the words that we use here? Where it looks like the behavior is improper, even though the conduct is not improper necessarily. All right, the appearance of impropriety is something that needs to be avoided. Just like the appearance of favoritism and nepotism, all have to be avoided at times, even if it isn't true. All right, even if there's nothing nefarious or untold taking place, just the appearance of something like that can be detrimental to a military unit. But what I find amusing here is that they're saying that this was a clear case where the woman was harassing the men. Look, I don't think that women and men should be in the same units. Right? I don't. You want to avoid the appearance of impropriety, the appearance of favoritism, and things like that. Make it so that women serve in different units. They can be co-located together. That's fine, but but their chain of command should be wildly different, and you'll never run into this problem. Well, what you'll then run into are real sexual harassment issues or real sexual assault issues. And what I mean by real, I mean things that actually do harm, or an actual attempt at harm. Quid pro quo is one of them. Actual threats of violence are another. And they happen. I'm not going to deny that they don't happen. Okay? They do happen. All right, let's go on to the next story. A story from Vice. A story I actually totally agree with. Farmers win the right to repair their own tractors in Colorado. A new law in Colorado will make it easier for farmers to fix their own equipment, is the first in the nation. This should be followed by car manufacturers and everybody, okay? Next year, farmers in Colorado will be able to fix their own tractors, and manufacturers like John Deere will have to provide them with manuals and diagnostic software to help them do it. Farmers across the country have long been fighting for the right to repair their own equipment. Modern tractors are full of electronics that have been giving manufacturers like John Deere the ability to lock farmers out of the repair process. Now, thanks to the Consumer Rights to Repair Agricultural Equipment Act passed, farmers in Colorado will be able to do what they've done for generations, fix their gear themselves. Now, for those people who don't understand how important this is, okay, when you're on a farm and you're using tractor equipment, when you're using this equipment, you can't afford this equipment being down for a day, especially during certain aspects of the season. If your tractor goes down when you're trying to harvest, oh my God, you are in a hell of a bind. If it happens when you're trying to plant, you're going to sit up there and take the tractor to get worked on for 2 weeks during planting season? Are you insane? You can destroy a guy's total lifestyle all because you won't let him fix some widget, all right? And you've got to take it, he's supposed to throw, supposedly, take it in. And there's not enough of these facilities in these rural counties to work on this kind of stuff, all right, with, repeatedly and get it back and operational within a day. But I don't think that this law goes far enough, quite frankly. I should have that same ability to do on my car. There's nothing proprietary, all right, about my car that I'm owning that I shouldn't be able to go in there and fix. That's how it should be, folks. This crap where you got to bring it to a dealer to find out why the car is acting up is nonsense. Now, I'm not saying you have to have all the equipment. I'm saying that they don't have to sell the equipment to do this kind of stuff, but somebody would. But you should have the right to repair your own crap. You should have the right to fix your own stuff. It's one thing if what they were doing could cause a danger, if they did it wrong. All right? But for your car or a tractor or something like this, Vice finally does a story, now that they're going out of business, all right, that's actually worthwhile. It's kind of interesting. Speaking of the military again, Newsom is sending the National Guard to San Francisco to help with the fentanyl crisis. What, I don't know what Newsom was planning on having them do, send fentanyl to these people? Right? The San Francisco Police Department and the Office of San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins are partnering with the California National Guard and the California Highway Patrol in an effort to stymie the city's ongoing struggles with fentanyl. How about arresting the criminals? Do you think the tractors work just fine without computer chips? Look, there are computer things that computers can do to help tractors and help farming. I'm not denying it. Okay. Now, some of the newfangled, we don't want to, anti-pollution bullshit that goes into that stuff is garbage. I agree, but there are things that can help a lot. Right. But anyway, back to this. Good old frickin' Newsom. We're going to sit up there and bring in the military to do what the police in San Francisco should have been doing the entire time. What's the point of calling in the National Guard? Where are all these people bitching about the police being militarized? What, weren't we all terrified of the militarized police force, folks? Wasn't that what we were looking out for? Isn't this what the left has been screaming about? The policemen are just too military. So now you got a crisis that's so out of control, you got to bring in the military? Newsom is only sending these people in there to deal with this issue because he wants to run for president. And right now, with crime skyrocketing out of control in San Francisco, and people are leaving San Francisco in droves. San Francisco right now is just turning into a cesspool because people have finally got to the point where, okay, I could deal with the liberal nonsense until they stop policing it. Now people are dying. Now people are getting shot left and right. Oh, but it's the fentanyl crisis. That's the reason he's doing it. Bullshit. You have a major crime problem. I would like to know, since they're not arresting people, all right, for criminal activity, what the police need the help for. I would be the first person to say, why do we need help? The help of the National Guard for fentanyl, all right, when the police aren't bothering to do anything else. They're not arresting people. Stores are being stripped. There are pictures on the internet of Targets and Walmart where everything is behind locked glass cabinets now because the crime has gotten so out of control. Because shoplifting has gotten so out of control. So the police aren't busy arresting those people. You closed down all the donut shops because those were fat pills. What else are you doing there? Now, let's go over the border. Let's go over the northern border. I say we defund the police in California. Sounds like a good idea. They've been doing it. They've been doing it. Yeah, you're right, Matt. They've been doing it. The Canadian job. A massive $12 million gold haul stolen in an audacious Ocean's 11 style heist as thieves make off with bullion from an airport. This is a great story, folks. Canadian cops have been left scrambling to try and recover the precious metal which was stolen from the country's busiest airport on Monday. The gold arrives. The 5-foot container is moved to a warehouse. The criminals gain access to the airport, find the gold, load it onto a truck, and drive away. The Hollywood-style theft could go down as one of the most brazen heists in the state of Ontario. Initially, sources claimed that the amount of gold stolen weighed about 3,600 pounds, which would be worth more than $84 million. However, local authorities believe the bandits most likely bagged about $12 million worth of gold. Bullshit! They got it all, folks! They got it all! Alright? See, American criminals are dealing with fentanyl. They're robbing freaking grocery stores. They're robbing supermarkets. They're robbing Walmarts and Targets. They're out there hitting gas stations. The Canadians, we're going for the whole schmear. The gold was then offloaded to a secure warehouse on the premises as it was to be processed to be shifted to markets around the world. But the crafty crooks somehow managed to intercept the swag at a high value container not long after. The calculated criminals seized the gold and subsequently trucked it off. These guys got away with about 2 tons of gold. 2 tons of gold. Meanwhile, what are the criminals in America doing? If we're not doing grocery stores, our climate goons are deflating tires. The International Climate Activist Group has claimed responsibility for deflating tires on 43 SUVs in Boston's Tony Beacon Hill neighborhood and leaving behind preachy notes warning vehicle owners, your gas guzzler kills. Canadian crooks, we're stealing tons of gold. American crooks, we're going to stop climate change. A group of climate activists called Tire Extinguishers has claimed responsibility for the vandals. SUVs and 4x4s are a disaster for our health, a public safety concern, and our climate. Bigger and bigger cars are dominating our towns and cities. And all this so privileged few can flaunt their wealth. Because government and politicians have failed to protect us from this danger, we must protect ourselves. You didn't protect anybody, assholes. You're just another a bunch of freaking overpaid climate Nazis. That's all you are. Right. You're just a bunch of overinflated egos, all right, trying to stay relevant in a world where everything has been given to you. So you think going out there and popping tires is going to do something. It was 3,600 pounds, by the way. It's a good haul. Got to give these guys credit. Now, at some point, there has to have been some kind of insider leak, John. All right. Hi, Doku. Didn't see you there. So, when's the space rock? By the way, Doku, or anybody else, if you want to join me, just let me know. Just DM me, okay? If you want to, just DM me, all right? And we'll go from there. Because I am trying to watch DMs while I'm watching everything else here. Or attempting to, anyway. But, yeah. These eco-terrorists, they need to go. They truly need to go. You know, I'm so sick of them. I really am sick and tired of them and the crap that they pull. They really need to find something better to do with their lives, because what they're doing is not. They're not better. Okay, you're not making a difference. You're not adding to anybody's viability of anything. Okay, all you're doing is making yourself feel good because you think you've made a difference. A difference in what? What have you made a difference in? Seriously, you little eco-terrorists, what have you made a difference in? Tell me. I would love to know where it is you think you've made a difference. How you've created a better life for yourself. Or a better life for anybody else. These eco-terrorists are out of control, especially in Britain, but they're getting out of control in the U.S. too. Now, do I care? It's Boston. Okay. First question that comes to mind, quite frankly, is where was where was my friends? Where was memes? Where was memes at? Where was memes of destruction? Just curious. And as far as the space rock goes, Goku, yeah, just pop into to the channel when I see you. Just let me know, Goku, if you want to come on in, and we'll go from there. All right, for those who don't know. But as far as what's going on in the space world, well, I have a, because he was asking where's the space rock. I don't have a space rock story. Got a space balloon story. Space balloons. Meal High Club. Inside the stunning space balloon restaurant where astro guests dine at 82,000 feet. But the bill is hard to stomach. Yeah, I can imagine so. A French startup, Zafalto, announced it will offer a 6-hour trip up to the stratosphere or to the top of the Earth in a space balloon named Celeste for a fine dining dinner and unparalleled views. The space balloon will travel 82,000 feet. I'm just going to do it that way. With 98% of the atmosphere below it, it's twice the height that a commercial flights fly. We chose 25 kilometers high because it's the altitude where you're at in the darkness of space, with 98% of the atmosphere below you so that you can enjoy the curvature of the Earth in a thin blue line, said Vincent Faro Diastis. All right. Zafato's founder and aerospace engineer told Bloomberg, "You're in the darkness of space, but without the zero gravity experience." Well, then what's the point? What's the point of having a restaurant without the zero gravity experience? That's the whole point of having a zero gravity experience. You want to have the zero gravity experience. You want to be. Can you imagine the food fights in this kind of restaurant? I mean, think about it, folks. Seriously, think about it. A food fight in space is going to sit up there and be just epic. Zafalto is aiming for 60 flights per year starting in 2025. The only catch is that it costs you $131,000 per ticket and includes the flight and 2 gourmet meals, drinks and appetizers, wine tasting, and a statographic photography. Although the price is much lower than Virgin Galactic's flight into space, which starts around $450,000. Zafalto promises to offer the best space experience and views without actually breaking through the atmosphere. The space balloon can hold up to 6 passengers at a time and 2 pilots with a 215 square foot in the 215 square foot room. That's a pretty tiny room, folks. 215 is a 20 by 10 room. 20 feet by 10 feet. That's the size of your room. What kind of meal are you getting here, folks? I'm just kind of wondering. So pretty much everything but All right, the capsule is being designed currently by French architect Joseph Durand and will operate by being filled with helium or hydrogen. No kidding. A high altitude balloon is going to be filled with either helium or hydrogen. What other choice do you have? Okay? With all due respect, what other choice do you have? It's going to be filled with hydrogen or helium. No kidding. Really? Zafalto is now taking pre-reservations. It just asked that passengers undergo significant training and medical checks before boarding date, but anyone healthy enough to fly qualifies. Okay. Now, this sounds kind of cool in a way, all right? But to be honest, if you really wanted to do something like this, and you really were serious about this, serious about putting a restaurant in a balloon that floats around the Earth, okay? Now, this is not floating around the Earth. It's obviously tethered, okay? Which could cause another issue because a solid blimp with a hard back. That all sounds good, but it's impossible. Okay, we don't have material. We don't have collapsed armor. Okay, we don't have collapsed iron yet. Theoretically, you could make a solid material that's light enough to float. Theoretically, right? Because if you do put a vacuum in a chamber, it of course has less weight. The problem is that material is so heavy that obviously it doesn't float in the air. Floats in the water well, doesn't float in the air. Not so much. If you had a material that was tough enough to be able to do that, that would be cool. But back to this. If you wanted to create a atmospheric restaurant, a true atmospheric restaurant, it can't be one that you go up and down in a frickin' tethered balloon. All right? That's like you might as well just get into a hot air balloon, right, and have a picnic. It's a picnic basket underneath it, Yogi. But you know, You're in a picnic basket anyway. Would it be cool to get up to 82,000 feet and see the curvature of the Earth? Sure. But quite frankly, in order to do this, the way that they're talking about, basically they're going to release this. You're going to go up. It's going to take you hours to go up and take you hours to come back. And that's all you're going to be doing. You're going to be wound up, wound back, wound up, wound back. And you're only in a 20 by 10 room with somebody. 20 by 10. Okay? Or 15 by 15 is fairly close to what they were talking about. A 15-foot by 15-foot room. Get your tape measure out, go out there and do this, and that's the size of your dining room experience. If you're going to do something like this, put a big freaking balloon up there. I mean a huge freaking thing that goes up there and stays there. And then you send people up and down. Not in the restaurant. The restaurant doesn't go up and down. The restaurant stays up there. So you can see the guy doing all the tricks on the grill. That would be cool. But you come back really fast and things go wrong. That's true. That is true. If things go horribly wrong, they can come down pretty quickly. All right, a few minutes it'll take. Okay, on to the next story. Hugh Grant, the actor, right, claims that the Sun ordered burglaries of his home, as emails between NGN and the royal staff have revealed. Hugh Grant has claimed that the Sun ordered burglaries of his home and tapped his landline to get information about his personal life. The actor, 62, attended the final day of a hearing at the High Court, at which the news group newspapers is bringing a bid to have claims by him and the Duke of Sussex thrown out. Prince Harry is suing NGN over alleged unlawful information gathering at two of its titles, The Sun and the now defunct News of the World, claiming that his private information was unlawfully accessed. Mr. Grant, who settled a claim against NGN relating to unlawful information gathering at the News of the World in 2012, is now bringing a similar action against the Sun. In a witness statement, Mr. Grant said, "My claim concerns unlawful acts committed by the Sun, including burglaries." Now, a burglary is not a break-in. A burglary means they grabbed something. Okay? All right, to order breaking and entering of private property and in order to obtain private information through bugging, landline tapping, phone hacking, and the use of private investigators to do all these and other illegal things against me. He referred in a statement to evidence he gave to the Levison inquiry into the press standards and ethics back in 2011, in which he spoke about a break-in at his London flat where the front door was forced off its hinges. He said a story shortly after the Sun appeared detailed the interior. All right. First of all, I recently saw the last movie, or at least it's my understanding, the last movie that Hugh Grant did, right? Which was this Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie. Okay? And quite frankly, Hugh Grant did a decent job acting. In fact, the acting of the movie is actually done very good, very well. The dialogue of the actors is horrific. Sorry, Doku. I didn't realize you were up there. You're now here. Can you hear me, Doku?
Yeah, I got you now. How you doing, MC?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing? I haven't talked to you in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been busy. We basically declared war on the SEC and FINRA, so that's been fun.
Quite understandable. Quite understandable. Well, my personal life is going to shit, but I'm not going to go into that. welcome to the party, pal. Is what I would say. You should say that to me, actually.
Yeah, it's been fun to say the least, and I mean that in the most sarcastic way possible.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So tell me, have you seen the Dungeons and Dragon movie that Hugh Grant was in?
No, I haven't. I was debating if I wanted to see it or not.
Okay. So for those who don't know, all right, I did go see the movie because my eldest daughter wanted to see it, and she said, "I will take you." She actually wanted to take my wife, but my wife was not available at the moment because she was working, right? And so I joined the club. No, I know, I understand. Um, the So my daughter still wanted to see it, but she didn't want to see it alone. So she took me, and I was like, okay, I'll take a look. Because I've heard all the stories and everything, right? First of all, the movie's what do I call this? The movie plot, is actually really good. It really was, right? The CGI that everyone wanted to complain about, I thought the CGI was very good. Okay. Now, did it have quote unquote woke elements in it? In a sense, all right, but it wasn't the over the top woke nonsense that you've been seeing. You know what I'm talking about? You can't compare the over the top woke nonsense that you see in Star Wars with what was in Dungeons and Dragons. It's just not there. It really isn't. Okay. So
Somebody else mentioned the same thing where I guess people were saying like they were trying to intentionally emasculate the characters or whatever, and I've heard people say it's actually really not that bad.
it's not. They wanted to play a little bit of role reversals. For example, the barbarian is a woman. So what? Okay, that's not a big deal. Okay.
Let's be fair, that's a running trope in anime for a long time. Like female
Uh,
barbarians is kind of cliched at this point in time.
it is all right. Did the Is the magic user an effeminate male? In a way, yes, but then again, that's the way magic users have to be played in the game. You don't. They're not big tough guys. You don't see a magic user going out there going, "Hi, right? Let's start a brawl." They're not. That's not who they are, right?
Honestly, I did kind of like to see that though. It'd be funny.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna do something like that, it has to be in a dark target voice. So from that part, it was good. Okay. What was horrific, and it was horrific, is the dialogue they have these actors doing. Their facial expressions and the characterizations and everything are all. The acting was really well done with the dialogue they were given. It's just that the dialogue is bad. I'm not going to lie to you. The dialogue is bad. These are not how people would talk. Okay, it's not that it doesn't fit. It's that the way they have the characters interacting, the words that they're using are not what you would want to see, right? Because it doesn't make sense from a person to person talking, right? So the dialogue is bad and it's disjointed. It is. The acting, the facial expressions, given the situations that go with it, is actually really well done. I really do. It is sad that that they just couldn't get some people who could write like real people do. All right,
Well,
really.
to be fair, in a Dungeons and Dragons movie, I highly suspect that the majority of the budget probably went to the CGI. So you're probably scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to writers.
Well, the writers, but they didn't do. They didn't skimp on the actors. The actors were okay. And that's what my point is. Right now, the CGI, they have a series of animation with owl bears. Best thing I've ever seen, man. It was just awesome. The action scenes with
Huh.
the owl bear are just freaking phenomenal. And they try to keep it within the mentality of D&D. In that regard, that's successful. The thing is, because the dialogue is so bad, it's a C plus movie or a C minus movie if you want to look at it from that standpoint. It's not. It's a movie that I I'm glad I watched the movie, but I won't be going back to see it again anytime soon. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a one and
it
done.
always kind of struck me. It always kind of struck me as like, yeah, this is something I expect the Sci-Fi Channel to produce.
Right. Well, and it actually most of the sci-fi some of the stuff that they did on the Sci-Fi Channel were really good, like the Warehouse 13.
Oh yeah, Warehouse 13 was excellent. I mean, I don't mean that as a Yeah, I don't mean that as a dig against the Sci-Fi Channel. Like they do produce some good stuff. It's just that definitely struck me as what I would expect from the Sci-Fi Channel. It's not. Yeah, I don't expect it to be produced by like Universal Studios or Warner Brothers or anything like that. It just didn't have that kind of vibe for me.
It could have been done. It could have been done better if they just got the writers to do it better. But speaking of animation stuff and this kind of thing, the next story is really good. Are you ready?
Oh boy. All right, what you got?
Magic the Gathering fan allegedly set upon by Pinkertons for unreleased
Oh,
cards.
I heard about this. This is freaking wild.
Magic the Gathering leaks are nothing new, whether by accident or on purpose. Reviewers and gamers with early access to new sets of card packs have pretty regularly shown off card pulls before they were allowed to do so. Usually, the consequences for leakers are simple and effective. Wizards of the Coast, which publishes Magic the Gathering, typically refuses to allow those individuals early access in the future. It's slightly more unusual for Wizards of the Coast to send Pinkerton agents to a man's house in order to retrieve stolen goods. Over the past week or so, a YouTuber known as Old School Meeting or MTG, right, has been uploading videos of himself opening packs of new and unreleased Magic the Gathering set, March of the Machine, and the Aftermath. He uploaded 3 videos which were widely shared on Reddit and MTG, I guess Magic the Gathering communities, even making headlines on IGN and other sites. He's alleged to have 22 boxes and uploaded multiple videos last week. It's estimated that he leaked approximately about 75% of the entire set, or about 36 of the set's 50 cards. The set was scheduled to be released in just a few weeks on May 12th, all right, with the official reveals set to begin at the start of the month. So then on Sunday, April 23rd, he uploaded a video titled The Aftermath of the Aftermath. Everything is gone. He described how Pinkerton agents allegedly showed up at his door that morning demanding the return of the cards.
Well, apparently Wizards of the Coast actually apologized for this, so it's not. It definitely happened. Yeah, I guess they thought like, oh, we hired the Pinkertons to go retrieve our early leak cards. I don't think they realized. Yeah, the Pinkertons kind of have a history of intimidation and threats of violence to achieve their ends. So apparently there was Watsy had to issue a formal apology for doing this because I guess the guy's wife was like freaked out or terrified or something. Like either way, not a good look.
All right. What do you know about the Pinkertons?
Oh, you mean the infamous Union Busters?
They were part of that, yeah. they
And
did partake in some some union busting rituals, especially on the West Coast. For those who don't know,
I'll just say, when we're talking about the wheelhouse of methods used to achieve a goal, violence isn't necessarily off the table.
okay. So the Pinkertons, for those who don't know about the Pinkertons, right, the Pinkerton Agency started with a guy named Pinkerton, and this was back in the 1800s, and the the problem in the 1800s was you stepped across the state line or a county line and people were, you know, you were golden, right? There was no FBI back then. There were no groups like this, right? So the Pinkerton Detective Agency was fulfilling the role of pursuing criminals across wherever they went. Now, Pinkerton himself was very much a very by the book law kind of guy. But you're talking about the rough kind of justice in the American West. Okay, the union busting crap began, right, due to several incidents, thanks to good old Carl and his buddy Frederick. For those who don't know what I'm referring to, Karl Marx and Frederick Engels. All right, and the creation of the unions at a time period when unions were necessary and unnecessary simultaneously. All right. The tactics used by the anarchists at that time, by people like Emma Goldman and so forth, although she came a bit later, all right, were as violent, if not more violent, all right, and you needed people to be violent back. Okay, so the Pinkertons transition, but the Pinkertons themselves tended to be so professional that, in fact, today's Secret Service is modeled on the Pinkerton detective agencies because Pinkertons, for the longest time, were the security force for the presidents of the United States. Did you know that?
Actually, no, I didn't know that.
Yes. They were the Pinkertons were the ones that were doing the role of the Secret Service. Right before the Treasury Department created this, the whole Secret Service agent was created, and the Secret Service agency was created underneath that. All right, so yeah, the Pinkertons were guardians of the president at the time. So just so you understand, not everything the Pinkertons did was bad. As we transition out of that and you start having other types of things, now the Pinkertons, all right, they are doing a lot of they're private investigators, folks. They're PIs, and they're PIs in an organization of these guys. It's not just like you remember how all those '70s shows and '80s shows like Rockford Files and stuff about the PI or Sam Spade, all right, all right, as single PIs working. The Pinkertons were doing that kind of stuff in an organizational standpoint, right? Does that make sense to you? And
Yeah, I'm tracking.
their intelligence services. There was a lot of the stuff that the intelligence services got from the Pinkertons. You want to talk about people that were doing down dirty listening and things like that? The Pinkertons were one of the groups that a lot of the stuff was modeled on, right? They were involved in a lot of heinous shit. A lot of the spying and stuff. The Pinkertons were a part of as well. So you see how bad they are. So when they come in here to do this, now in this case, where they're talking about this guy, the group sent this guy the Magic of the Gathering cards accidentally, right? He had ordered something else, and they shipped him the wrong things. Okay, to me, that's on them. I would not have given the Pinkertons anything. Okay, but they are. I wouldn't.
I would have told him like I don't know, I sold him at auction or something. But apparently the whole reason is like the guy's wife was scared, so
Well,
he
yeah,
acquiesced.
they're bully boys. Okay, they're gonna do tactics like, do you know where your husband is? Right, come up to her probably in the grocery store. You realize what your husband has, and we're gonna need that stuff back. All right, they're gonna use mafioso type tactics. All right, up to the point where they, you know, I can't say that they wouldn't, that they're not above taking baseball bats to people's knees, because they're not. They truly aren't. You have to understand it. That's who the Pinkertons. That's who the Pinkertons are. Okay, they're a rough bunch. Okay, they truly are. But they have probably one of the best. MC isn't deafening, so he's not. So I'm not. If you want me to speak up a little bit more, I definitely will do that. Do you think I'm speaking too lowly there, Doka?
And you're good for me, but I'm also have headphones on, so it's probably different for listeners.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, yeah, but yeah, the Pinkertons are an interesting group if you ever look at their history. It's quite a colorful history. It's not all bad. They did brutalize, and I mean absolutely brutalize, during the 1910s when we went to war in World War One. There was a strike. I think in Seattle it was, right. The longshoremen decided to strike, and the Pinkertons went in there and brutalized them. I think like 5 or 6 people were killed. I mean, it was not even. It was, I'm not joking. It was more than just a regular brawl, right? And they ended that strike. Just so you understand. And it hasn't been quite 100% proven, but it was at the behest of the federal government. It was at the behest of Wilson, Wilson's administration. Just so you understand who these people are. By the way, I have some kind of more comic type stuff. Did you see this story here?
Are you sharing it on the screen? Because for some reason, I don't. Did Discord change their thing? Because I don't know where your screen share would be.
Let me start again. I forgot to hit it. Can you can at least hear
them. Unfortunately, I can't. You know, I'll look at the YouTube.
Okay, what you're seeing here, folks, for those who don't know. Here, I know what I can do.
Oh, that's not good.
You can see it now, right? Right, Duncan?
Yeah, I got you.
Alright, what this is, for those who don't know, this was Disney doing a live show at one of the theme parks. And their animatronic dragon, right, that Mickey was supposed to banish, right? Mickey banished him by catching him on fire in a live presentation to the fans.
I mean, to be fair, I would definitely feel like I got my money's worth out of that show.
When Mickey says, "This is my dream, bitch," I'm gonna catch your ass on fire. This animatronic creation, which the Disney people called Murphy, literally caught on fire while they were doing a show in front of people, in front of the kids and everything else. It was I'm like you. The money was there. This was worth the money. See this, but it burned down. It just caught fire and absolutely burned down. All right, and of course,
Didn't they have to like shut down the entire park or like something like that? I think I heard about this.
They didn't shut down the entire park, but they did shut down all the animatronics, right, to find out what was going on, especially if it had anything to do with flames or anything else, because they had there's an investigation going on. You don't want your rides or anything catching on fire. You know, you don't want little Johnny. It's bad enough when you drop little Johnny from 5,000 feet, right? From a few hundred feet, and some of the rides have happened in the past. What you don't want is them catching on fire as little Jimmy screams all the way down. All right. But it was pretty cool. All right, and the actor, you gotta give the actor credit because he went up there, sees the thing in flames, comes back, looks at the audience, and comes back. I mean, he played it off well before he started running for his life.
Hey, you know what? Got to give credit where credit's due.
I mean, like, it's a surprise. It's a surprise, folks. The dragon slays himself. Well, this is what happens when you banish the dragon to the nether realms. Now, everybody who's been watching Disney is having a very bad time of it. Okay, Disney at this point appears to me to be headed for bankruptcy. Would you agree with that, Toku?
Yeah, they're not doing good. Although to be fair, I'm not going to complain because shorting Disney's stock has made me a decent amount of money. So congratulations, thank you. Go broke is a very valid investment strategy. Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch, I'm looking at you next. But honestly, I think there's a higher chance that they'll go ahead and essentially auction off the rights to a lot of their properties before they'll actually let themselves go bankrupt. But it wouldn't surprise me if Disney operates solely in the capacity of essentially running theme parks and cruise lines into the somewhat near future before they get back into the more traditional entertainment business, i.e., making film and animation. Hopefully, ones that don't suck.
Well, I don't think that. I think that what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to divest themselves of a lot of their property. I mean, obviously, certain things that they own, they're going to have to divest themselves because it's just not profitable. ESPN has to go, right? They own ESPN for those who don't know. ABC's got to go. They have to sell it off. Okay. They're going to have to sell off Lucasfilms. Okay, Lucas Studios, right? They're gonna have to sell it. Why? Because they can't afford it. They can't afford to take these kinds of losses, right? So they buried the IPs because of this woke nonsense, right? And they've done a lot of damage to the. Let's be honest, their theme parks aren't doing the best. Now, part of that has to do with their, COVID really damaged them because they shut down those parks, right? That's a lot of money, but it doesn't fix the problems of the Galaxy Cruiser. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, the that Star Wars theme hotel that is a complete and total flop.
Yes. Right. So it doesn't fix that aspect of it. So.
Well,
All
and
right.
Disney did really kind of get screwed in four separate ways. So, yeah, COVID shutting down the parks and the cruise line was a big hit because that is a large revenue source for them. At the same time, inflation and economic hard times have hit, so families aren't spending money. Then you have the overt politicization of a lot of their IPs and the woke nonsense that people just really are just tired of. So it's like, you know what, that might have worked like
Well,
seven,
they
8 years
decided to
ago, but
they decided to jump in on it. They should have
well, and
shut
then
their
on
mouths
top of
and not
that,
said anything.
well, and then on top of that, they also made the acquisition of Fox Entertainment, which was a massive acquisition. I would argue they overpaid for it. But I mean, you have all these four elements coming together at the same time. So it Disney really, really did kind of screw themselves. Like, and I agree with you. They should have just shut their mouths and just focused on producing a good product because you already have these other three elements working against you to begin with, anyways. So the woke nonsense is just kind of the cherry on top.
Well, I can't understand why they would. All right, first of all, when the COVID thing, they got billions. People don't know this. They got billions of dollars from the federal government with COVID and loans and guarantees and stuff because they were shut down. Right, from the federal government and also from state governments. California kept basically Disneyland alive. So that part was all part of this. But the problem became is they started to get into the pandering game because Iger wanted to be a politician, and that's what he was focusing on is his run. He was going to make a run for the for the presidency, right? And so he let a lot of this stuff, and the stuff got out of control, and you've seen it. I have no sympathy for Disney as far as I'm concerned. What they've done with Disney, they can take a hike. Disney if Disney collapses and doesn't exist anymore, oh well.
And
People,
I'm not going to be
they're
complaining.
the good old days under Walt. The people blamed Walt for anything and everything under the sun, right? And, oh, he's an anti-Semite. He's like this and he's like that, right? And there are truths to that, but they made it sound like that was his core. That was not Walt's core. Okay, I'm not saying that the Walt was a perfect person. There's nobody that is. Okay, but these leftists then took charge of this, and what did they do? They buried the country into the ground. Nikki Haley has offered to move Disney World to Carolina. Wonder how much that would cost. All right, I don't think people understand what it would cost to build a theme park today. All right, especially one the size of Disney World.
Oh God, could you imagine what it would just be the cost for the frickin' steel to build all the rides and attractions?
Just to purchase the land. Okay.
Yeah, you're talking at least $500 billion, probably like 500 billion, at least, probably more.
Easily. All right, for what it would cost to do something like that. Right now, I'm not like one of the channels that I follow is Clownfish TV. Okay, and they are all about comics and the comic industry and the entertainment world exclusively. They they are not trying to dive into politics or anything else because they're focusing on their own things and their own lane, and their own lane is like video games and comic books and Disney Entertainment and Universal Entertainment and movies and things like that. They're not overtly political. They're leftists. Okay, don't take the wrong impression. They're leftists, all right? But they've been very anti-Disney with some of the things because Disney had agreements with the state that they could build their own kind of power plants and things like that, right? Which is all true, and then and they're all bitching and whining about it. They could build a nuclear power. They have the rights to build a nuclear power plant. So what? I don't care. In fact, they would have been better off if they had built nuclear power plants. Okay, just to put it out there. But back when Walt Disney purchased the land in Florida, it literally was just swampland that they took the money to drain, that they took the money to build this thing, right, and create this area. They did do it. But that's not the people today. That's not the people in Disney today. The ones that did that, all right, don't exist anymore. They're all dead and gone. The visionaries to bring a better world are dead and gone. What's in charge of Disney now, and it's not just some of their writers. It's their theme parks, it's their CEOs, it's all of them. They're all corporate leftist shills, folks. And I couldn't. If you don't want to believe me, all you have to do is look at every single year, almost every month, to be honest. You are reading about Disney arresting some kind of group of pedophiles, all right, that were running rings in their parks, and that's not an exaggeration. It's almost every other month you read about it or hear about it. Another group of Disney employees arrested.
Well, to be fair, it does kind of fall in line with the if you're a child predator, you're going to go to where the kids are. Well, what better place to have a proverbial hunting ground than a theme park, especially one like Disneyland or Disney World?
That's very true, and I do acknowledge that. Okay, but Disney had been doing a much better job early on of making sure those kinds of people were never hired.
Well, to be fair, if we're just going to be honest about the situation, there have been very blatant pushes to make pedophiles a protected class and try to normalize child exploitation. So it's not surprising that things have gotten a little bit lax, because to be against such things would get you called an evil, hateful, racist, World War II person by a lot of individuals, because they think this type of thing should be socially acceptable.
Pedophile's wild ride.
Oh,
No.
God. Jeez. Good Lord.
All right, I don't think they're coming out with the Evita Perón dance marathons. Okay, I don't think that's coming.
Oh.
Look, you just have to recognize though who's taking over Disney, all right? And it started with Michael Eisner. Okay, I hate to put it to people, but it started with Michael Eisner. Now, Michael Eisner's not Iger, okay, but Michael Eisner was the one who he wanted to reinvigorate Disney, and he tried to divorce it from its clean image of being family friendly entertainment. Michael Eisner is the one who came up with the idea of Touchstone. For those who don't know, all right. And while as a entertainment group that was a good thing, it changed the culture of Disney, and this is the result. I think it's unfortunate. You know, people didn't have to worry about Tinkerbell, all right, turning into the Man Fairy like they do now. Just putting it out there. I mean, think about it. Tinkerbell, one of the most beloved characters, and let's be perfectly frank. If you ever watched the originals with Tinkerbell, right? Tinkerbell's costume is quite revealing. Or am I wrong?
It's definitely on the suggestive side, to say the least.
Okay. And yet they were able to do the story without that focus. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Nowadays,
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, there is definitely an emphasis on the sexualization of characters, far more than it was back in the 80s and 90s. I can admit that much.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's gotten out of hand now. That's the whole thing. It's everything. Sexualizes anything and everything. All right, TMZ. Canadian actor Saint Von Colucci. All right, death story is a fake. Now, I was taken in by this story. I thought this guy really did die. Turns out that the death of Canadian actor Saint Von Cooley as a result of dozens of cosmetic surgeries was one big hoax. In fact, this guy may never even have existed. The Daily Mail, which is where I first read this story on. Now I didn't do a story on him as far as on YouTube or anything, but I did take this story and spread it, right, from the Daily Mail. All right, reported that Saint had died Sunday morning at a South Korean hospital due to complications from surgeries that cost him $220,000. TMZ followed suit and posted the story. The Mail quoted someone as purporting to be the publicist for Saint, who supposedly went under the knife 12 separate times so he could play BTS boy band star Jimin, all right, in an upcoming Korean drama, all right, Pretty Lies. The sources told the outlets Saint surgeries, including jaw implants, a nose job, a facelift, lip reduction, and an eyebrow lift, and an eye lift. All right, it was all a lie. It's possible that Saint Von Colucci isn't even a real person, let alone the victim of a death hoax. Right now, why am I pointing this story out, folks? This is what happens. I mean, even real journalistic groups get taken in by these kinds of stories. It happens all the time. Now, this is somewhat sensationalized, and I initially was going to do the story on this, right? Because why are you trying to be somebody else? Okay, I've never understood this push lately for people wanting to be somebody else, because that's where we are with it in society today. There's too many people that are trying to be somebody else. Why? You may not be satisfied with where you're at or who you are, but you know what? You're not going to become somebody else. I would love to be a 6'6" basketball player rather than the 5'6", 5'7" person that I am. It's not going to happen, though. Now, what about you, Doku? Who do you want to transition into?
I guess I'll have to go with the God Emperor of Mankind.
You want to be Trump, huh? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if I want to go that far. I'll go with Abaddon the Despoiler.
Oh, okay. But it's amazing that this story was totally believable, right? That because people are doing these outrageous things. Does this sound like it couldn't be a true story?
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised it isn't, to be fair.
Exactly. I mean, how many people have you seen that want to turn themselves into an alien or a cat creature of some sort or some other kind of critter, where they've had all sorts of tattoos and all sorts of piercings and all sorts of other deformations to their bodies or their eyes, right?
We don't even have to go that far if we're being honest, MC. I have 3 names for you. Elizabeth Warren, Sean King, and Rachel Dolezal. I rest my case.
And it isn't Sean King. It's Talcum X.
That is still that is the most appropriate nickname for anyone on the internet.
Right. Okay, let's go to another story. This falls into the you're just a bunch of dumbasses. 4 Jersey cops fired for legal use of marijuana despite the AG's warning. It's not legal, folks. What am I trying to tell you all? In a case highlighting the tension between legal recreational marijuana use and the needs of employers, 4 Jersey City police officers are fighting for reinstatement after testing positive for cannabis. The officers, who asked to remain anonymous while their petitions are pending before the Civil Service Commission, all deny using marijuana on the job, says their Princeton, New Jersey lawyer Peter Paris, according to papers reviewed by the Jersey City Times. The city has not alleged their use of marijuana while at work. Instead, the city is arguing that the officers failed to follow departmental orders not to use cannabis at all. It's still federally illegal. Do you guys understand this? Marijuana is still a class 2 narcotic. It's a scheduled narcotic of some sort, right? That law hasn't changed. They haven't changed that law. It's still federally illegal, all right, in the United States to smoke weed. Should it be? No. Is it? Yes. Which goes to the next question. Do you really want your police force high on drugs? They don't want police officers anyway. I think this was just an excuse to get rid of the police. What do you think?
I guess that's one argument. I can't really argue against it.
I mean, to me, it seems like what they're just trying to do is trying to make an excuse. All right. First of all, I'm not ignorant. Okay? I know people have been doing marijuana since 19 whatever, right? But as far as an illegal narcotic use throughout society, since the 60s, people have been drugging themselves up, and it's been more or less accepted since the late 70s, if not the mid 70s, already. Okay. I mean, for crying out loud, if you take a look at just take a look at all the movies in the 70s, right? Movies like with John Belushi, like the early 80s movie. What was that movie? Animal House, right? Everyone was smoking weed, right, in Animal House, including the professors, right? This is what people thought of back then. Okay, so marijuana usage, all right, has been something decriminalized in a lot of ways for a long time, right? But the federal government has never decriminalized marijuana. Now, do you want your police force high on dope?
Probably not the best idea to have a bunch of people with guns and badges running around high as a fucking kite, but that's just my personal opinion.
Right. I mean, that's what you got going on in West Hollywood right now is a bunch of people because they laid off most of the police force, and now it's being security advisors or something like or social workers. They have all these social workers driving around with little little vests going, "How are you doing today? Oh, there's violence over there. We'll call the police, and then we'll watch. We'll stand by while these 2 people beat their brains out because they had a car accident." There's all sorts of videos on this. It's getting more and more violent. And the problem that I have with people is their expectations. Okay? And I seriously have a problem with this. This expectation that police aren't violent, can't be violent, shouldn't be violent. Why shouldn't the police not be violent? The expectation of violence should be there by the police. It's you have to understand that. In order to do that job, you've got to be willing to engage in violence. And the word is willingly engage in violence. I want you to think on that. This isn't someone who's reluctantly, I got hit, so I responded back. That's not who you need for police. You need to have police that are willing to act violently immediately to keep a situation under control. And then you have all these people going back, boy, you just use too much violence. Once violence is initiated, folks, okay, once it goes down that road, you have to accept it. Or am I just being just too obtuse?
No, I think you're pretty straightforward on that one. It would be kind of difficult to argue otherwise.
It's just people's expectations about the police, right? That's not saying that there aren't bad policemen. I understand that. But what people are doing today and their expectations, tragedies, you can do so much to try and avoid a tragedy, but tragedy is going to happen because that's just the way it is. A guy going outside his door to talk to the police, carrying a gun, getting shot by the police is a tragedy. Is it avoidable? It isn't, because it's going to happen no matter what. People are going to sit up there and insist on using their rights. Other people are going to see things from a different manner. Somebody's going to feel threatened, and triggers are going to get pulled. That's the way it happens. Okay, I'm not justifying the police shooting somebody. All right, I'm telling you how it happened, and it's always going to be that way. Okay. Now, you want to lessen it? You can't expect it to be lessened by a police officer not pulling his gun. Why? Because he has to be the initiator of violence in order to do his job. Police have to be able to initiate violence. They got to be able to say, okay, it's time for violence now, and to initiate it in order to effectively do their job at times. So if you want to reduce this, don't run from the police. Don't spit at the police. Don't sit up there and try and hit the police. Right? That's where our society is today. Why do most of these things happen? Right? It's not because
MC, I believe the proper internet term for this is fuck around and find out.
And I'm not trying to justify it. Like, for example, that beating that took place in, where is it, Memphis? Right?
Oh, wait, was it Memphis or Nashville? It was one of the two.
I think it's Memphis. The one I'm referring to is in Memphis.
Is that the four cops that beat that dude to death or nearly to death? Yeah. Okay, yeah, that was Memphis.
That situation. Okay. We all know why that situation took place. You're banging one of the cops' girlfriends or wife, and then you're gonna lip off, trying to act tough in front of them. What did you think was gonna happen?
I mean, probably not the smartest decision in the world.
All right. Now, I'm not saying that justifies them doing that kind of stuff, but at the same time, you know what's going to happen sooner or later. That's truly effing around and finding out, right? You go doinking some guy's wife and you find out that the guy has a gun and he shoots you. What a surprise! Just put it out there, right? We have a documented case of General Sickles, Dan Sickles. Have you heard of Dan Sickles before?
The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm personally not familiar with the situation.
Dan Sickles' leg is in Walter Reed's hospital. He lost his leg during the Battle of Gettysburg. Now, he is famous as a horrific general, a terrible general, right? In fact, the whole second day of Gettysburg almost turns into a disaster because of his actions. Okay, just so you understand this. But he's more famous for the fact that he found out his wife was boinking some guy and shooting this guy in the street and then claiming temporary insanity and getting off. He's the first person to get off on the temporary insanity plea. General Dan Sickles. So, and in the case where they're talking about this, he didn't walk in on his wife and this guy. He actually basically went out and hunted this guy in the street and shot him. Okay, so you don't really have the temporary insanity part. I'm not sure how he got away with that, right? Because that's not temporary insanity. Just pointing it out. Just trying to put it out there. Need a cracker, Doku?
Wait, what?
Need a cracker? Spectre of Soylent Green raised in legislative debate over human composting, which proponents say is an eco-friendly way to deal with remains.
Well, as the saying goes, fiction usually precedes fact.
Daniel Hennessy's mother didn't want to be buried when she died because she didn't want her body to take up any land. He wasn't a fan of cremation, but given his mother's request, he felt that was his only option when she died a few years ago. Hennessy began reading up on a process called natural organic reduction, which allows human remains to be converted into soil. It's also known as human composting. He came to find it both honorable and eco-friendly. It's neither. I think that the human composting option appears to be the best for the environment. It makes sense. It's a slow process, so it feels a bit more dignified than being burned at 1200 degrees, said Hennessy, a native of England who lives in Chicago. At Hennessy's urging, the state representative Kelly Cassidy, a Chicago Democrat, is there such a thing as a Chicago Republican? I would really like to know.
That is a very good question.
Right, tried early last year to push through legislation that would codify natural organic reduction as an alternative to handling human remains. Okay, now first of all, I'm surprised that in Chicago and in the Illinois legislature, this law did not just go right on through. Why? Let's be honest. If you create a natural reclamation thing, what's going to happen? Who do you think is going to run those facilities? It's not going to be the mortician, folks. It's not going to be your undertaker that you see in the movies. Okay? It's going to be run by Guido and his brother Vinny. All right? Do you get it? Am I wrong, Goku?
You're not wrong. You're definitely not wrong.
And the person who's going to be helping them is Agent Smith. Okay? I'm just
You're
telling
not
you the
wrong.
truth. Agent Smith
No, you're.
is going to be helping these guys. Now, Vinny and Guido may be the guy loading the bags, but Agent Smith and Agent Jones are going to be the ones delivering the goods. All right? Just put it out there. There's all sorts of horrific ways this is going to go wrong, and it's going to go wrong. Where did those 6,000 people go? There were no 6,000 people.
That's a good question. I wonder if it was answered in the headline.
And if you don't believe that's possible, from Sherardi comes this story. FDA approves first pill made from human poop.
But why?
The Food and Drug Administration has approved a second ever medical treatment made from donated human feces. The FDA has approved the first pill manufactured from donated human poop, the agency announced Wednesday. It's the second poop-derived treatment ever approved. The first was an enema-based treatment that was cleared for use in 2022 in December. Really? So about the same time we're dealing with COVID, huh? I'm kind of worried about. I'm kind of worried about the synergy here.
Yeah, there are definitely dots to connect. I'm not sure if there's anything. I'm not sure if there's anything of substance to it. No pun intended, but definitely dots that could be connected.
Previously, such fecal microbiota transplants were considered investigational treatments and were therefore harder for patients to access and often not covered by insurance. Like the approved enema treatment, the newly approved pill called, how do you say that? Baust?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Baust? Also contains live bacteria. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I guess. I can't think of a different pronunciation, so I'm just going to go ahead and go with yours.
Baust. Have you had your Baust today? Has been approved for use in people ages 18 and older as a preventative treatment for reoccurring infections with the bacterium, whatever the hell that is, right? This infection is often acquired in the healthcare settings after patients have taken antibiotics for different medications. So basically, if you're taking an antibiotic because of a serious infection, this puts the biotics back into you. It's a biotic treatment. Just you need more bacteria in your colon. Here's the way. Take a pill. Here's your colon pill. Made from real human feces. Right next to the cracker. I'm surprised they didn't call it Nutella or something along those
lines. There are a lot of really inappropriate jokes that could be made from that one article alone.
Waiting for the spreadable version.
I shouldn't be laughing.
And you thought cheese was bad.
This is not the Philly cheesesteak that you ordered.
Who ordered the
Biota? Well, I'm glad I planned on having a late dinner.
By the way, the final thing is going to be an effing around and finding stuff. But we've got two other stories before that. We are now in the animal section of our storylines.
Oh boy.
Black bear kills and caches hiker's off-leash dog in a Canadian national park. The hiker deployed bear spray and punched the bear in the head several times before it carried the dog into the woods, Canadian officials said. This hiker is an idiot. Okay?
I wouldn't suggest punching the bear in the face. That seems like a really fast way to end up like the dog.
If Fifi has been snagged by Yogi, you don't punch Yogi in the nose unless you want to end up like Fifi. Okay?
Yeah, probably a good idea to, maybe cut your losses and run. No pun intended.
All right. If Spot has now become food for the bear, well, let it go. Okay? Park officials tracked down and euthanized a black bear in Canada's Jasper National Park over the weekend after it killed a hiker's off-leash dog. According to a press release issued on Sunday, April 23rd, the bear was behaving in a predatory manner. No shit! How did you expect it? What do you mean?
It's a fucking bear. What do you expect? A bear?
It's a predator! What do you mean? It is... Oh my god. What, do you think it was Yogi? You think him and Boo Boo were just looking for a picnic basket? What the hell, man? Well, that bear's got to be euthanized. It was acting like a predator. No shit!
It's a bear. What do you expect it to do? Go run around and pet butterflies?
What? This sounds like a Dudley Do-Right moment. This really freaking does. Oh, the bear was behaving in a predatory manner when it mauled the dog along a stretch of a 4.8-mile Wabasso Lake Trail. The hiker deployed bear spray at close range, spraying the animal in the face, and struck it multiple times in the head with the spray canister before it carried off the dog in the woods and cached its carcass. This behavior is considered a threat to public safety and a risk to park visitors. It's a bear.
You would think that these types of things would be common sense, but apparently common sense is dead.
It's a bear. All right. The bear was probably just sauntering on the thing, and here comes Rex, the Wonder Poodle. Arf, 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 arf. The bear probably said, arf, 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 huh? Chomp, chomp, chomp. What the hell? I mean, the fact that the bear didn't take this human out already tells you that the bear understands the difference. Just point it out there. I don't let the bear alone. The hikers were approaching the trailhead with two dogs running between them when they encountered the 200-plus pound male black bear. One dog chased the animal off the trail, but the bear ended up back on the trail near the hikers, probably bent that Rex and Fluffy pissed it off. Okay? I'm just going Fifi nipping at its heels. You should have taught Fifi not to go after Mr. Bear. Okay? This sounds like natural selection to me. I don't know why they killed the bear. I really don't. They should have taken this human and banned him from the parks. They really should have.
And to be fair, the bear was probably more pissed off that you're in its fucking territory. Like, I kind of tend to agree with you. Like, maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't actually be out roaming in the wilds because, for whatever reason, you definitely pissed off that bear. That's probably not a good thing, because in a national park where, people visit, have, running around, take their kids or whatever, the last thing you want is an angry, pissed off bear running around looking for something to fuck up. Animals kind of tend to act like that. If you don't believe me, any of you who has a cat, go pull its tail. It might be a domesticated cat, but I guarantee you it's going to be in a really bad mood for the rest of the day, and it will eventually take its anger out on something.
And what's our chat talking about? Did anyone see the Tiger Park video where the lady got getting out of the car to yell at her husband? Spoiler, the tiger carried her away.
Oh, well, I suppose the appropriate internet term for that would also be fuck around and find out. Right. Tiger King edition.
The thing that gets me is, this is unusual concerning the encounter, right? A large 92-kilogram bear, which is not a large bear, that's a fairly small bear, okay, had no identifying tags indicating previous interactions with the Parks Canada personnel, displaying no fear or reaction to bear spray or punches. No, it was pissed off because it had two yipping freaking annoying critters, all right, that chased it into the woods. Once you get the bear angry, it's not going to show fear. It's not a.
Again, logic would dictate, but apparently, well, as I previously stated, common sense is dead.
I really feel for the bear in this case. This is not the bear's fault. This really isn't. The penultimate story, and of course, it's Florida.
Of course, it's Florida.
Well, inside her residence, a Florida woman shot and killed her pet parrot with a Glock handgun, and then fought with her husband, according to the police who arrested the couple Monday afternoon. I got a question.
I should be surprised.
I got a question. The man is: you're gonna fight with the woman who's got a gun? You're an idiot.
Yeah, Darwinism's a thing, I suppose.
I'm amazed that the husband survived. Police say that Suzanne Mullaney, 62, was intoxicated. Really? All right. When she killed her African gray parrot with a 380 caliber handgun while inside the Largo home she shares with her husband, Stephen, 66. After Mullaney burned the bird, she and her spouse exited the home and began arguing and pushing one another. Yeah, he probably ran out the house. She's probably chasing his ass. Right? According to the criminal complaints, which notes that a witness watched the couple tangling. Additionally, yeah, they're probably trying to make sure she didn't shoot his ass. Additionally, Mulvaney doused Stephen, who was reportedly also drunk, with water from a spray bottle. He's a cat now.
I don't. It's Florida. Best not to ask questions.
All right. Release the mess squirrel. Mulvaney and her husband were both charged with domestic battery, a misdemeanor, and booked to the county jail. They were released from custody yesterday afternoon and ordered by the judge to have no contact with each other. What about the gun? Did you get the gun? Did you get the gun?
Like I said, MC, it's Florida. Don't ask questions. just accept it.
The parrot had a smart mouth. That parrot. Seen above, Mulvaney was ordered to have no contact with animals whose Glock was seized by the police and has not yet been charged in connection with the parrot killing. I'm not sure. Is it illegal to kill parrots? All right. In late February, cops responded to a Largo property upon receiving a report that a firearm was discharged in the backyard during a verbal altercation. Mulvaney was handcuffed and taken into custody after a brief struggle with the cops, but she was only charged with resisting police, a misdemeanor count which prosecutors recently declined to pursue. So you didn't put her in jail for waving the gun around the first time. Now the parrot's dead. The officer who investigated the reported backyard shooting noted that there were numerous loaded firearms in plain view inside the residence, which Mulvaney purchased in 2003 for $97,000. I'm not sure why I cared about how much the property cost in 2007, but just putting it out there.
Yeah, again, I'm just not going to ask questions.
All right, we're going to see now a series of videos. I think I'm still sharing this for you, right, Doku?
Yep.
All right, so folks, this is people who don't understand wild animals are freaking wild animals. Okay, and we start with, of course, the friendly, hungry hippo. Now notice this. Oh, let's look at this. Now the thing is pissed. Notice how fast these things can move.
Yeah, these people apparently have never seen any videos of a hippo from YouTube before, because hippos are fucking terrifying.
Now this woman was just in her yard, found the raccoon. The raccoon's like, "Where's my cookie?"
That is a very determined and angry raccoon.
Now that's the mom, by the way. That's the daughter who was initially being attacked by the raccoon, who's like 15 years old. But the mom's had. Now the raccoon, give her credit. She grabbed Mr. Raccoon by the scruff. Now, giving it a 1 or 2 tries is not a smart thing to do. I think you may have freaking just tossed it the first time, lady.
Yeah.
And there she did the right thing. throw the thing, get back in the house, and shut the door. Because you can see the raccoon isn't even fazed by this.
I credit for the yeet. It was a nice yeet, but you know, yeah, you probably should have done that sooner.
Now, this next thing is, if you're gonna shoot a photo shoot, lady, be aware of your surroundings. This is not being aware of your surroundings. Just pointing it out. A bunch of horses running by, and wow, she gets run over. Now that's not much of a friggin' surprise.
Yeah, you could have seen that one coming. Those are good bet nods. Also, credit to the horse for the yeet.
All right, this is another good one. Oh, now look at the turtle. Look at the turtle. The turtle is already gone. You're food. Your thing's food. Look, it's eating.
Yeah,
it thinks
that's a fast way to lose a finger.
Right, playing with the thing while it pops your little floaty, and thinking, well, wait a minute, and look, he's called his friends. What do you think? You might want to think about getting off your floaty, bitch.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm surprised she didn't lose a finger.
Now what are you worried? Now you're terrified, aren't you? Stupid bitch. Well, hey, you think that thought?
Yeah, they're cute until they're not.
What would it have done to have taken a bite out of that dog? That would have been hilarious.
Like I said, I'm surprised she didn't lose a limb.
This one is hilarious. This is, how can I be a dumbass 101? Oh, I've seen this at the rodeo.
Oh, this isn't going to end well.
No, it's not.
Yep. Oh no, it's a fucking goose. All right.
Now this is the good woman Samaritan. She knows. I know what geese are like. I'm just going to help you. I'm just here to help. Here's your little gosling. Oh, you touched my brood. You're done. Lady, there comes a point of not getting out of the car. Let the gosling alone. They've survived for hundreds of years. Let it go. Because the bird isn't friendly. Just pointed it out there.
I'm just saying. Now, common sense and logic are dead.
This is a farmer who knows better. And he's just trying to be patient. He's an idiot. Right? Boom! In comes the ram. Notice he gets pissed. And the ram is like, oh, I ain't done with you yet. Yeah, I got you for 5 minutes here. Bam! Oh, you turned your back. Yeah. Don't ever turn your back on sheep, folks.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
I learned this lesson. One year, Dad decided he was going to bring in like 15 sheep and see how sheep farming was working. It worked out for about 4 months, and then Dad got rid of the sheep. And this was one of the things that happened to me. You can't. The moment you turn your back on one of these bastards, they run you over. And notice.
Yeah, they're very aggressive.
Notice what this thing does, right? The best part about it, watch what this thing does. Bam! Okay, now I'm out of here. I planted you, and now I'm out of here. And those are domesticated animals.
Yeah, right? Don't fuck around with sheep, especially male sheep.
You don't fuck around with these things either. Watch this guy come running past. Look at that guy running for his life. There's a reason he's running for his life. Because they pissed off an elephant.
Oh.
Look, you can see the elephant. Look at its tail, straight up. That elephant is pissed.
Yeah, the elephant's out for blood. Right. Quite literally.
The elephant is. I don't know what they did to this elephant, but they pissed this damn thing off because it's on a rampage. Okay, this elephant is. Fuck this. I'm looking for someone to stomp. Someone's getting stomped tonight. That's what the elephant is saying today.
Oh yeah, he's very, very pissed off.
And I think it was that guy that you see just flittering by early on, running for his life. I think the elephant's looking for him.
And that's the question. I want to know what he did. Like, what did you do to piss off that elephant, bro?
Because that elephant is mad. All right, let's go out there now. This woman here. Oh, it's just a snake. It's just a snake. Put the snake into the. I don't want to go in the cage. Do you think the snake is happy about being in the cage? The snake's not happy about being in the cage. Because especially when you slam its tail. Hey, bitch!
Yeah, that's
You
not
slam
a
its
very
tail
pissed
in
off
the door.
snake.
How do you think the thing's gonna react?
Yeah,
And then she
well,
does
like that
this.
actually.
Then she flips the freaking snake off. The snake was in the right, bitch. You ain't freaking the one that slammed its tail in the door. I feel sorry for the snake in this case. It's too bad it didn't get a good bite out of her. Oh, what? People and their stupidity with animals.
Never gets old.
It doesn't. Unfortunately, it doesn't. All right, folks. That's all the stories that I got for the day. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope to do these. I've been doing these fairly regularly on Saturday. I'm actually thinking about probably starting to do these during the week, but they'll be early in the morning. Um, if I do start to bring these on more. Hope that you all have a good day and enjoyed the show, and I'll talk at y'all later. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming, Gugu.